Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to our workshop with a cause. I'm Sam Thomas with Pampered Chef, and I'm so excited to have Joshua Holder share a little bit about the organization that we are supporting this morning, Urban Outreach New Orleans. So welcome, Joshua, and all our participants. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you.
I would love for you to share a little bit about Urban Outreach with the people viewing this and about the organization, how it got started, and what it supports.
Sure. Urban Outreach New Orleans is our group. I'm originally from Illinois, from Rock Falls, and my wife and I started a faith-based 501c3 in New Orleans. We're part of two larger sister groups. One is called Urban Outreach, that is in 11 cities across the United States. Mainly go into very hard neighborhoods in cities, and just work with the homeless, work with people that are hurting within those neighborhoods. Our 501c3 specifically works 50% of the time, actually probably more, close to 80% of the time, with the homeless in New Orleans. We work out of a couple of neighborhoods along the Claiborne corridor, which some health experts locally has nicknamed the mental ward of New Orleans. There are approximately, at least as of counts pre-COVID, we had well over 1,200 homeless living on the streets in New Orleans. Many of them have undiagnosed, untreated mental health issues, drug addictions, medical issues they're not being treated, they're not being helped, and they're living underneath of the overpasses. I-10 runs, if you've never been to New Orleans, I-10 runs right over top of Claiborne Avenue, which provides almost a 2.5 mile stretch of areas underneath the overpass, running in the middle of Claiborne Avenue, where a lot of homeless will sleep at night. They'll set up tents, we'll have encampments and different things. And one of the reasons that we do this is we've understood that you have to go the extra mile to build relationships with people. Homelessness doesn't begin when the money runs out, which is what a lot of people think. Homelessness actually begins when the relationships run out. And there's so many people that are on the streets. They have addictions, they have fears of violence, they've been victims of violence. We work with several people that have been human trafficked, even that are in hiding from their abusers or their pimps. And we've come to find out that a lot of them, nobody woke up one morning saying that I want to be a junkie and live on the street the rest of my life. There's a past hurt there. There's a failed relationship, a brokenness that needs to be repaired. It's not about, I just ran out of money, I don't feel like getting a job. There's a hopelessness, there's a past hurt there. And one of the things we try and do is both spiritually and physically is we meet needs so that we can address that past hurt. We have a program that we're getting ready to start teaching. It's the Live Free program, and instead of just addressing any addictions or violent issues that the person may have on the street, it actually addresses the past hurts. And that's one of the things that we found out that the more we can address the past hurt, the better chance we have of getting people off the streets. Over the last, we've been here almost 6 years now working. We have almost a 100% success rate of those that have come through our program to get off the streets, staying off the streets. They don't come back out. One of the things that we do is how we do that is when somebody wants to come off the streets through our program is we advocate for them, we cheerlead for them, but they do almost all the work themselves. We give them simple, easy tasks. We team up with other placement agencies within the city that can get them into apartments or housing, but we have them do all the work themselves. We'll come alongside and resource them however they want to, but we find that when it's over and they've been placed, they take pride in the work that they've done because they've had to work hard to get themselves a place to live, to get off the streets. So as a result, they don't want to mess that up. They have an actual stake in the ownership of it. So we find that we don't have large numbers that we've helped get off the streets, but the ones that we do stay off the streets permanently. So a little bit more about the New Orleans area. actually not even just homelessness, but homelessness in general, the average life expectancy of those that are living on the streets is only 41 years of age. So and a lot of ours down here in New Orleans are elderly already. So we know that the situations are very dangerous for them. Death among the homeless in New Orleans has been skyrocketing over the last few years. Opioid overdose is the number one killer of our homeless, followed by suicide, and then blunt force trauma being the third. Just since right before COVID and during COVID, we've actually lost quite a few of our homeless, none of which we've lost that personally we work with to COVID, but we've had a lot of opioid overdoses amongst our friends on the street. It's been a shocking number. It's actually kind of stressful at times because there's a lot of days if we don't see one of our friends on the street that we are one of our regulars, we start getting worried about them. But some of the projects that we do, what we started with, and it's, the one we go back to the most, mainly because of COVID restrictions, is we do a food and hygiene bag ministry. It's our main one that we do almost every day anymore, where we have brown paper bags full of high protein snacks, and we also have hygiene bags and socks. Socks are the number one most requested item by our homeless. Even more often than money we get asked for, which we never give. We get asked for socks a lot. We're actually a giving partner with Bombas Socks, where you buy a pair, they give a pair. We actually receive 3,000 pairs a year from them, and they're amazing. So we go out on the streets, and that's kind of our icebreaker. That's our way of, we give out food bags, hygiene bags, and socks. It's our way of saying, how can we help you right now? It kind of breaks the ice. It helps us start building that relationship. So remember, like I said, is most of them have a failed relationship. They have a hurt somewhere. So we're trying to build relationships with our friends on the streets. Our big outreach is, and we're going to show a video of the trailer in action, but we have a mobile kitchen that's built into a 28-foot trailer. And we take this out underneath the overpasses. Right now, we're kind of limited doing that where we're cooking offsite because of COVID restrictions here in New Orleans. But when it's fully up and running, we have a 28-foot trailer that's with a full commercial kitchen inside of it. It also has some disaster relief supplies, full sound system. And what we do is we can set up and we can feed 200 meals within 2 hours of us getting started. We're supposed to be able to do 700 to 800 meals a day. I'll talk about that number in a little bit, because we found out it is much greater than that. So we set up and we feed those around the street. We may even feed some people from the community that aren't homeless, but we want to be there for everybody. We're there to build relationships with our neighborhood, no matter who they are. Another outreach that we do, it's one of our favorites that we get to do each and every year. It falls around my wife's birthday and my birthday. We celebrate our birthdays on the streets and under the overpasses. We always get a fancy cake from some bakery. We slice it up and we go underneath of the overpasses. We go on to some of the drug corners. We go to where squatter houses are within New Orleans, and we pass out birthday cake. And time again, the people that we're helping, they start to cry because they can't remember the last time that they got to celebrate a birthday, the last time they had a piece of birthday cake or got a birthday card or got to wish a friend a happy birthday because their circumstances. They're always so excited and ecstatic to be able to celebrate with us. And that kind of comes back to the socks thing too. It's like every morning we can get up and we go to our top dresser drawer and pull out a clean pair of socks. We've got some of our friends that are working in the street corners and living underneath the overpass that haven't had a clean pair of socks in weeks. We'll give them a pair of socks and they'll stop everything that they're doing. They'll sit down on the ground and they'll take off their heavy shoes or their boots and they'll take off these socks. And I kid you not, sometimes these socks can stand up on their own. They're so nasty and old. And we can go to our sock drawer and get a new pair every day. We can get, we get every time, my birthday's coming up and my wife's already asking me, what restaurant do you want to go to for your birthday? We're always making plans, but there's people on the streets that haven't celebrated a birthday in years. Another quick story is we work with children as well. And we've done Christmas stockings for neighborhood children before. And we had a child that when he was taking the stuff out of his socks, started crying because he had a toothbrush. And one of my team members thought he was just upset that he got a toothbrush. He was expecting more toys or something. But as we listened to him more, we realized he was excited because he got a toothbrush because he's always had to share one with his brothers and sisters. The family only had one toothbrush. And he was excited, ecstatic that he now had not only just a toothbrush of his own, it was a Superman one. And yet, this morning I got up, went to my vanity, was able to pull out my own toothbrush and brush my teeth. And there's so many things that we realize that people that are living on the streets, it's not just about money. It's not just about them, them choosing to live on the streets. There's so many things that we take for granted, like that they don't get to experience. And that's all part of us building relationships to mentor them, to disciple them, to help them get off the streets permanently into victorious living. We have one guy that we've helped that we met him the very first day he became homeless. He had a falling out with his family. It wasn't that he ran out of money or anything like that. He had a horrible falling out with his family, and to the point where they weren't speaking to him, he wasn't speaking to them. He boarded a bus from Mississippi and took it to New Orleans, and we met him the very first night as he was walking down figuring out where he was going to sleep. And we started building a relationship with him that night, and it took a while to get through everything. And eventually, he decided he wanted to get a job, and he wanted to get off the streets, and he tried different programs, but he was still young enough, he was still able-bodied enough that none of the placement services were really placing him, or it was a long wait list for him to be placed. So we started doing some job training with him, helped him fill out applications. We got him a used bicycle that somebody was selling, and he went business to business along Claiborne Avenue until he found a restaurant that hired him. Eventually, we didn't see him for the longest time. Well, come to find out, he had saved up enough money that he had gotten himself an apartment. He was able to get himself off the streets. Then we lost track of him a little bit longer because he didn't have a phone at the time, so we really didn't know where to get a hold of him at. And we found him about 3 or 4 months later out in front of one of the drug houses in our neighborhood. And when I saw him, my heart kind of skipped a beat because I was worried about him, why he was there. But after we had poured into him and we had helped him get off the streets, he decided to pay it forward, and he was now helping others that were hurting. This house that was known as a drug house, he had started talking to the family and had gotten them enrolled in a church and had gotten them help, and it was no longer a drug house. The family was clean. They were he helped them get a job even, and he just wanted to pay it forward. And that was a lot of what our work is building relationships, seeing souls saved, dreams renewed, hope restored, and lives rebuilt of those living in New Orleans. One of the other things that we do, just real quick on, because we'll show a video of it, and you also get to see our disaster recovery. We'll deploy to any place across Louisiana, southern Mississippi, if we're needed or we're requested. Our trailer, when this last hurricane season, we deployed to Hurricane Laura. We set up in Moss Bluff, Louisiana, and when we arrived, I told them, our maximum meals in a day was going to be 800 meals, not 800 meals for breakfast, 800 for lunch, 800 for dinner. It was just 800 meals, and then we're going to have to restock our supplies. And supplies were hard to come by, so we weren't sure how many days we were going to be able to operate. In the end, we were able to feed 1,500 meals a day out of our trailer. We fed 1,500 people over a 4-day deployment until water in some restaurants were able to open, and people from the neighborhood we set up in Louisiana affected by Hurricane Laura were able to get started again. If you want to play that video.
Yep, I'll pull that up now.
It shows our trailer in action, not so much with on the streets with our homeless, but from our work with disaster relief after Hurricane Laura.
To hear the song of creation, the wind and the rhythm of the rain. Oh, the thunder, it speaks of your power.